Hi guys! Today we're going to talk about introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. The two possible thinking functions. So thinking is logic, but it's active logic. It's like active logical reasonings. It's kind of like you're trying to get to the most logical conclusion, to the most logical answer. And whenever we are using a thinking function, it's also that emotions are kind of shut off because these thinking functions kind of operate without emotion in order to become fully objective. Introverted thinking is about internally making decisions, and extroverted thinking is about extroverted thinkers will feel like they want to influence their environment, but like in a logical way, where they want to organize things to be efficient in their outer environment. And introverted thinkers don't have this as much. They really are people who analyze things in their minds, just analyzing, rather than, organizing with extroverted thinking. Of course, they can still be people who organize, but if they do, they'll be using extroverted feeling for the organizing. They'll be organizing not based on logic, but more based on feelings. And their logic will be kind of their internal analysis of things. And for extrovert thinkers, it will be more obvious that they try to organize their environment to be as efficient as possible. So for introverted thinkers, they kind of attach themselves to their logic because every introverted function is also a bit attached to you as a person, of course. It's more personal. The thing is, introverted thinking is a deciding function. You make decisions with it. So it's kind of like your identity is sort of also in it. It's a difficult question. Does your identity lie in TI or FI? But I think it is either of those or both, maybe. Because those are the two functions where you're actively doing something internally and you really influence those decisions. And the problem with introverted thinking is that there's not much emotion involved. So that's why I think people often associate introverted feeling a bit more with your identity. But I think it's kind of both, because introverted thinkers will also be very attached to their logical opinions. So introverted thinking, it's personal logic, it's understanding of something, and analysis. So introverted thinkers want to understand a problem really at its core. They really want to understand it for themselves. They try to build a thinking framework inside their head that kind of needs to be able to explain this problem. And they keep, adding to the framework. And it's very objective because no emotions allowed, basically. It's kind of like calculating and weighing different reasons, trying to come to the most logical conclusion, logical outcome of a problem. And they are truth seekers, they want to know the truth. Usually because their emotions aren't allowed for this thinking function, that's why usually introverted thinkers will value the truth above everything else, especially dominant introverted thinkers, because that's the function they value most. If someone has introverted thinking but doesn't value it, they might still not value the truth because they don't value that function. They don't value introverted thinking. But when they do, they're gonna value the truth no matter what. Things have to make sense to them. They have to make logical sense. And usually they won't lie to themselves about something because it sounds nicer or better, They will want to know the truth. And that's what they care about. Things just have to make sense to them. But now, if we move on to extroverted thinking, there's this difference where extroverted thinkers are a lot more, because it's extroverted. They're a lot more about results, practical application of logic. they want to apply their logic in the real world around them. They want to see results. They want to work towards some kind of goals, apparently. Like, it's like they work towards goals. They want to have, for example, certain tasks completed in the most efficient way. And they know what will be the most efficient way to do that. They're really good at knowing that. So it's like introverted thinkers care about the truth more than about application. For them, problems aren't solved. They don't have to be solved fast. They have to be solved right. It has to be the truth. It has to be right, but it doesn't have to be fast. So there's this thing you will see that introverted thinkers will be slower than extroverted thinkers, because they'll take their time. Introverted thinkers, they'll take their time to really look at this problem from all these different angles, try to figure out the answer, the true answer. And extroverted thinkers will be just like, well, let's not waste time, just solve the problem, just solve it, and solve it quickly, because they want to see the results and they just care about efficiency and not wasting time. And this is also why extroverted thinkers, they will trust other people's logic more easily. But they will kind of look at, for example, is this a reliable source? If it's a reliable source, I will trust it. Whereas introverted thinkers have this thing where they need to understand it themselves. And if they don't understand it themselves, they won't trust it. They only trust their own framework. And, their framework is objective, but if they can't get it into their framework, they won't trust it. They have this need to check everything. So you will see that extroverted thinkers will more readily trust other people's logic and kind of not minding just reasoning together with people, and kind of, if something works, then it works. If someone gives them a solution and it seems to work, then let's go for it. Whereas an introverted thinker will be more stubborn and kind of like, oh, I have to understand this myself, otherwise I'm not trusting it. So introverted thinkers are a bit better at noticing errors, noticing mistakes in other people's reasoning, because they have this need to check everything. But extroverted thinkers will be a lot quicker, a lot more practical, a lot more efficient than introverted thinkers. And they will, obviously, they'll only trust other people's logic when it's a reliable source, but they won't have to internally check if it makes sense. So yeah, extroverted thinkers are a bit more focused on, as I said, efficiency and goal focus, seeing results, and that is why they are good at managing things. So, for example, managing a company, maybe. They will use other people's knowledge readily if it saves them time. And TI users check everything, even reliable sources. Extrovert thinkers want to use evidence and facts, mostly external evidence, whereas introverted thinkers just want to understand it themselves. Yeah, so extroverted thinkers are, I would say, quick problem solvers, and introverted thinkers are thorough problem solvers. So if you want to know the truth, it might be best to go to an introverted thinker. If you want to manage something efficiently and just get things done, you might want to go to an extroverted thinker. Yeah, so that was the summary of introverted thinking and extroverted thinking. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.